are currently food insecure as of February 2026. Based on the forecast of the below average March to May long rains, the situation is projected to deteriorate further, with the food insecure population expected to rise to approximately 3.68 million people by June 2026, representing a significant escalation within 4 months window. Table 2, of course, represents the population requiring urgent food assistance across the 23 Hassel counties based on the latest assessment findings. 9 counties, including Mandera, Turkana, Marsabit, Wajir, Isiolo, Garissa, Tana River, Samburu, and Kwale are currently experiencing a serious food insecurity, where many households are unable to meet their basic food needs without external assistance. The remaining 14 counties that include Turkana, Garissa, Mandera, Wajir, Marsabit, Kwale, Samburu, Tana River, Isiolo, Kitui, Mary North, and Kajiado are under food stress, meaning the households are managing to meet minimal food requirements, but only by reducing spending on other essential needs, selling assets, or adopting negative coping strategies. While conditions in most of the severely affected counties are expected to remain at similar levels in short term, the number of people requiring assistance is projected to increase. Mandera County faces a high risk of further deterioration into emergency condition by June 2026. If the forecast below average remains, forecast below average rains materialized and the response measures are not scaled up, so the nutrition situation remains a matter of serious concern, with the rising levels of acute malnutrition in several drought-affected counties requiring urgent scale-up of screening, treatment, and preventive services. Extremely high level of acute malnutrition have been recorded in Mandera, Turkana South, Turkana East, and North Hor in Marsabit. Very high levels are also reported in Garissa, Isiolo, Wajir, Samburu, and Turkana North, sides of Kibish, Turkana West, Turkana Central, Loima, and Tiati. Several additional counties are showing worsening child and maternal nutrition trends. The overall 810,871 children aged between 6 to 59 months and 116,796 pregnant and lactating mothers are acutely malnourished and require urgent treatment and nutritional support. Without a timely expansion of interventions, the situation poses a serious public health risk and long-term consequences for human capital development. The table is already showing the numbers on the populations that need urgent food security or assistance, in other words. I'm getting to point B, a question that says how the government has distributed the current budgetary allocation for drought mitigation and response across counties, and details of the specific programs that have so far been rolled out in each affected county to mitigate the adverse effects of drought. The ministry is undertaking the following response measures. Through NDMA, is undertaking limited drought response intervention using resources under the NDMA and the National Drought Emergency Fund and the European Union, with a total budgetary provision amounting to 265,718,782.9 0.90, in other words. The resources have primarily supported water interventions, including water tracking, fuel subsidies, repair of strategic facilities, and provision of tanks and provision of livestock feeds, that's drought pellets. In addition, the ministry, through NDMA, provide an unconditional cash transfer to 133,800 poor and vulnerable households in the 8 arid counties, namely Turkana, Marsabit, Wajir, Mandera, Garissa, Isiolo, Samburu, and Tana River. The cash transfers are disbursed under the Hunger Safety Net Program, HSNP, a key Vision 2030 flagship program. The monthly stipend enable beneficiary households to purchase food and meet other essential household needs. The cash transfer program contributes to the progressive realization of the right of every Kenyan to be free from hunger and to have adequate food of acceptable quality, as provided for under Article 43(1)(c) of the Constitution of Kenya. Between November 2025 and February 2026, the government disbursed a total of 1,854,900 in cash transfers under the program. This includes 205,137,900 disbursed in November 2025, cash 873,100 in January 2026, and 778,536,900 in February 2026. The cash transfers have ensured continuity of consumption support for poor and vulnerable households during the drought period, especially as a declining livestock productivity and the weakening market prices undermined household food security. By strengthening household purchase power, the transfer have enabled beneficiary households to meet essential food and non-food needs while reducing reliance on distress coping strategies such as livestock sales and asset depletion. Under the 4.1 billion allocated for national government drought resilience, NDMA was allocated 350 million for critical water sector intervention, repair and maintenance of strategic boreholes, food security assessment, and drought response coordination. Priority measures are being implemented across key sectors, including social protection and safety nets, livestock, water, health, nutrition, agriculture, education, child protection, peace and security, and drought response coordination. The interventions are aimed at protecting lives and livelihood, safeguarding core livelihood assets, maintaining continuity of essential services, and strengthening coordination of multi-sector response in affected counties. Table 3 below outline the indicates sector interventions prioritized for the February to April 2026 period to prevent further deterioration and mitigate transition into emergency condition. Of course, it is put there in summary. Question 3. On the measures the ministry has put in place to ensure effective coordination of drought response efforts by national government, county governments, development partners, and humanitarian agencies. They ensure the effectiveness of drought response efforts by the national government, county governments, development partners, and humanitarian agencies. The government has strengthened established drought coordination mechanisms at both the national and county levels to ensure structured, accountable, and multi-sector response during the current drought period. The key structure are as follows. The Intergovernmental Committee on Drought Response, chaired by His Excellency the Deputy President, has convened regularly to review drought early warning updates, assess sector gaps, and prioritize interventions. This has enabled a timely allocation of resources to critical sectors, particularly water, livestock, and social protection, while mobilizing complementary support from development partners. Multi-sector technical committee formed under the APEX coordination structure consolidates sectoral drought impact data, identify priority response gaps, and coordinates the preparation and alignment of sector response plans. The committee has also support harmonized targeting across affected counties and provides regular program reports to guide strategic decisions at the APEX level. County steering groups, co-chaired by governors, and county commissioners are convening routinely to review local drought conditions, approve costed response plans, and synchronize government and partners' intervention. This structure guides geographical targeting of response interventions while minimizing duplication and strengthening accountability. The lower coordination platform at the sub-county and the ward level facilitates real-time information flow from communities, validate beneficiary targeting lists, and enable rapid adjustments of interventions in response to evolving conditions on the ground. Collectively, these mechanisms are ensuring coherent national to local coordination, strengthening accountability, and supporting a timely data-driven drought response. On the first question, when the government expects the ongoing drought response programs to stabilize the livelihoods of the most affected communities and the indicators that will be used to assess success. The prevailing drought has adversely affected the vulnerable population and their livelihood through acute water shortages for domestic and productive use, rising food and nutrition insecurity, and deteriorating of both livestock-based and crop-based production systems, which are dependent on rainfall. The current response measures are designed to cushion affected communities, affected lives, and safeguard core livelihood assets. These interventions are primarily relief-oriented and focus on enhancing household coping mechanisms or capacity, minimizing asset depletion, and preventing irreversible losses. They also lay the foundation for recovery once favorable climate condition returns. Stabilization of the livelihood is expected once adequate and well-distributed rainfall is received across the affected counties. Confirmed improvement will be evidenced when key drought monitoring indicators return to or trend towards the established long-term seasonal averages. The National Drought Early Warning Systems monitors and analyzes more than 50 indicators grouped into two broad categories: environmental indicators, including rainfall performance, temperature trends, vegetation condition, pasture and browse status, and water availability and access. The other indicator is socioeconomic, including food production and access, livestock productivity, malnutrition level, school attendance, drought-related diseases pattern, and conflict risk. During the drought period, these indicators deviate significantly from the long-term season normal average. Stabilizing of the situation will be considered achieved when indicators value demonstrate sustained improvement and aligned with normal seasonal benchmark.
Honorables, yes.
Yes.
You know, you have supplied the written response.
Yes.
So all the members do have a copy of your written response. If you can just summarize it so that we don't spend so much time on this.
Let me touch now the last question. On the long-term climate adaptation strategies, the government is implementing to enhance the drought preparedness and resilience and the current planned investment climate smart agriculture initiatives. The ministry is implementing a range of long-term resilience building initiatives aimed at reducing vulnerability to recurrent droughts. The following are the ongoing and planned drought resilience projects across the ministry. With the NDMA, through the NDMA, the ministry is implementing 5 projects across multiple ASAL counties designed to strengthen drought preparedness, enhance climate resilience, and reduce the long-term humanitarian and the fiscal costs associated with recurrent drought. The investment include water infrastructure, including dams, water pan, boreholes, piped system, irrigation, water supply, system to support sustainable agricultural production, livestock interventions such as livestock breed improvement, camel restocking, integrated livelihood system including value chain that incorporate processing facilities. And then regional authorities that also fall under my ministry. The regional development agencies under the ministry have undertaken the following climate adaptation initiatives. The government, through Lake Basin Development Authority, continues to strengthen drought preparedness and resilience through investment in climate-smart agriculture and water infrastructure, including the Kimira Ulwach smallholder farm improvement project. In the current financial year, the authority has implemented 15 water projects across the Lake Basin region and rehabilitated 15 kilometers of irrigation canal in Kimira, improved water distribution for smallholders farmers. These initiatives enhance reliable irrigation, promote climate resilient farming practice, and support increased agricultural productivity and food security in the face of climate variability. Through the Coast Development Authority, we have rehabilitated 95 hectares of mangrove agrosystem, coral fields, coral reefs, and seagrass ecosystems in the Kwale, resulting in the improved biodiversity and enhanced adaptation to climate change through the Kenya Climate Change and Adaptation Program. In Garsen, Tana, and other rivers, Development Authority is training farmers on climate-smart agriculture, providing certified seeds and supporting sustainable land management. The Wasongiro Tannery in Narok provides a crucial market for hides and skins from livestock that might otherwise perish or be wasted during the drought, allowing pastoralists to turn losses into income. Kerio Valley Development Authority has been promoting drought-resistant crops such as sorghum, grafted mangoes, and resilient pasture species such as African foxtail grass, which can thrive in areas where rainfall is minimal and can improve livestock productivity in the region. The gums and resin processing factory in Wajir County, with a processing capacity of 500 kilograms of gum resin per batch, is a beacon of untapped potential, offering sustainable nature-based livelihood for pastoralists, pastoral communities, reducing resilience and climate vulnerable livestock farming. Closing remark, as I do, Honorable Chair. I think the ones I've said are the key activities that I needed the House.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable CS. Senator Enoch, you may ask a supplementary question.
I see excitement from Senator Mutinda. I don't know why. Mr. Speaker, first things first, Mr. Speaker, and the leader of government business in the House must listen to this. When cabinet ministers appear before the Senate, they must be properly guided, that they are not appearing before a committee, they are appearing before the plenary. It's embarrassing to the government that a cabinet minister comes on record, Mr. Speaker, and reads a response addressed to a committee of the House and a chairperson of the committee. It shows lack of seriousness. Because now from that point, then you wonder whether you really want to engage or you don't want to engage. Mr. Speaker, through you, the leader of government business in the House, Senator Cheriot, must have a session with these cabinet secretaries and tell them that they need to take the business of the House a lot more seriously. Mr. Speaker, I have quite a number of things that I need to... thank you. I have a number of questions, but I have only two that I'm allowed. First of all, the responses, Mr. Speaker, are completely underwhelming. You know, I will go to the response on question number 1, where she narrates on food and nutrition security situation, on page 6 of our response and gives us a narrative on the number of children aged between 6 and 59 months, and pregnant and lactating mothers gives a number, and tells us that these people are acutely malnourished. The Speaker would have expected her to tell us what the government is doing about this situation, not to just paint a picture of a sorry state of affairs on malnutrition. So on that score, Mr. Speaker, I would ask that perhaps she could give us a detail on what is the government response to the malnourished children and the malnourished pregnant women and the malnourished lactating mothers, because he has given us the figures here. My second question, Mr. Speaker, is very disturbing. In our own classification of the status of drought in counties, she has said that there are some counties that are receiving unconditional cash transfers. Now, to my amazement, I'll give an example. Samburu is classified as a county where things are looking up, they're improving. But that county is receiving unconditional cash transfers. Kilifi and Kwale counties, Mr. Speaker, I will hesitate to talk about Kitui because then people will think I'm being biased. But Kilifi and Kwale are classified as being in the alarm status, and actually the situation is worsening. But they are not receiving the unconditional cash transfers. What is the explanation, Mr. Speaker? I thank you.
Senator Mwenda Gataya. Honorable CS, take no questions.
Madam Waziri, one would be interested to know the very specific measures you are implementing to ensure transparency and accountability in the allocation of drought response funds in other areas, including Tharaka, where I come from, and how do you track the flow of these funds to verify their effective use? In Arijoida,
Senator Manzo, you're only allowed one question.
It's one question, Honorable Speaker.
No. Senator Manzo, proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Kitui and Makueni are described as stable, yet Kithuki Kitise Ward, Kalawa Ward, and Mavindini Ward, which borders Kitui, are very saline and a very difficult situation. Why will you describe them as stable?
Senator Mgatana.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Minister because she has come to Tana River when we were having very serious drought situation, and we appreciate that. We have not forgotten when you came to help us. The question I had, Mr. Speaker, is there a policy to treat low-lying counties such as Tana River, Garissa, and Lamu? Is there a national government policy on how to treat them during drought and during flooding? I say this because every time, Mr. Speaker, we see rains up there in the mountain and Aberdare area, we know in a few days we are going to have flooding, although we don't have rains. So we want to know, is there a proper preparation? Is there a proper policy of intervention for these low-lying counties? Because it's no longer an emergency, it's a cycle. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Generally, let me appreciate the Cabinet Secretary. But one question really baffles me, and I just need a clarity on it. Because it seems that in the long-term responses, the response from the Cabinet Secretary in terms of Narok County is on a post-mortem approach. When he says that there was Sonyiro Tannery, in Narok provide a crucial market for hides and skins from livestock that might otherwise perish or be wasted during drought, allowing pastoralists to turn losses into income. That is not turning pastoralists' losses into income, but rather sentencing them to poverty. What is a long-term strategy that the government is putting to ensure that it can be able to deal with the issue of drought, not post-mortem response? Thank you.
Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Speaker. Madam Cabinet Secretary, I would want you to tell this House what are the warning systems your ministry has put in place and how effective they have been in mitigating this menace. Thank you.
Senator Onyonka Richard. Senator Eddie Okech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In most of the response by the minister, I have seen a lot of responses with regards to interventions on things like cash transfers, food items, and any other things that look like sorting out basic needs. But I'm concerned, particularly in the case for Migori County, with regards to school-going children. As we speak right now, Mr. Speaker, in Kabuto Primary and even in Angugo Primary, kids cannot be able to go to school at all during this entire season. So I wanted to understand from the minister, what intervention are you putting for Migori County in particular, and perhaps to counties that are not dissimilar to Migori County, to school-going kids so that they don't have delayed schooling in the midst of these floods? What is the intervention that you're making sure that they'll be able to access schooling in safe ways, that they don't even get swept by floods? I would be very curious about that, and particularly if you can take a case for Angugo and Kabuto areas in Nyatike constituency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mutinda Maureen.
Shukran Bwana Spika, na nimpongeze waziri kwa kufika na ripoti yake ambayo ameweza kuiweka wazi. Langu swali Bwana Spika ni hizi fedha 1.8 bilioni ambazo umeweza kueleza katika plenary hii yetu ya bunge ya kwamba ndizo pesa ziliweza kufikia wananchi. Ningetaka kujua ni kiasi kipi cha pesa kiliweza kumfikia yule mwananchi, na ni mikakati ipi ambayo mliweza kuweka kuhakikisha kwamba hicho kiasi ndio kimeweza kufikia huyu mwananchi. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Beatrice Kenya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. To the CS, you noted in your list of some of the isolated pockets of non-Nasal counties, and particularly in Homa Bay, you noted North Kabwoch, which is in my constituency. I wanted to know what specific intervention you have for North Kabwoch over the interventions you have. And I expected, CS, that in Homa Bay you'd have the Karachuonyo area also part of your list, and Suba North. Thank you.
Senator Chirake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Through you, the Cabinet Secretary, on 28/12 of December 2020, the Office of the Auditor General did a performance on management of drought in Kenya through National Drought Management Authority. One of the recommendations, whether the recommendation of JOAG, especially status of the National Drought Emergency Fund regulations have been put place, and the issue of implementation on early warning systems. Are those recommendations by the Office of the Auditor General been implemented? Because, Mr. Speaker, this would have affected, because drought is a cycling issue that affected 3.3 million Kenyans. As those recommendations being implemented by the ministry? I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask the Waziri that drought is actually a cyclic phenomenon today. And it happens almost every 2 years. What are the plans for the ministry because you're having so many ponds and small dams that dry in 3 months or 2 months. What plans for water harvesting, especially we have a lot of runoffs, like River Tana, River Wasinyiro, those that drain to all those arid lands. What major water harvest do you have does the ministry have? We have so many other countries, like Egypt, using our River Nile, and they have never gone hungry. So I think we need to have a bigger plan.
Senator Maithu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I must admit it's my first time to see and meet the Cabinet Secretary. My question, in terms of the responses to drought that the ministry has prioritized, one of them is cash transfer and food support. Now, I have a question in terms of how the strategy they use to do zoning, because some counties are regarded to be food secure, an example being Nyandarua, and some parts of that county specifically experience severe drought. The upper parts of Nyandarua, say in Daragwa, they experience severe drought. So I want to know the strategy they use to do zoning, to know the specific areas that are suffering from this severe drought.
Senator Seki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also want to ask the Cabinet Secretary on the issue of drought, particularly in areas of Litoktok, sub-county, Kajiado South sub-county. There is a project under the ministry, your ministry, through Wasunyiro Development Authority on tomato processing plant. It has stalled for many, many years. Would really want to know the status of that project because it's one of the mitigating factors on issues of drought.
Senator Mundigi.
Okay, asante Bwana Speaker. Swali langu kwa waziri, kulingana na hii data kunaonekana katika Embu County Mbere ni watu 14,800 ambaye wako na janga la njaa kubwa. Ni mbinu gani alitumia, kwa sababu katika Embu County sub-counties hata sile iko na chakula ama iko pande ya juu iko majani kahawa, lakini kuna mbali nyingine kuna silabu. Ni njia gani ulitumia kaweza kupata hii watu 14,800 kwa sababu ni watu kidogo sana? Kwa hivyo Bwana Speaker, hii data mimi nikiwa senator wa Embu County naipinga.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we are in the same boat with Senator Mundiki and Methu, because the lower Keria Valley, Bado, Vilgemarakwet County, they are both 4 wards. Soy North, Soy South, Lower Tambach, Lower Emso, Aror Ward, Lower Samprir, and Endo Ward. And the CS has been there several times, and she knows the challenges that we have. So I expected Elgeyo-Marakwet County to be here, as even despite we have maybe 2 or 3 rivers that serve small portions of the sub-county. Part of Soy, Keyo, East sub-county and Kerevala sub-county, we have, it should be part of this report where even our schools are expected to be given food. The primary schools and the secondary schools should have food for the children so that they can attend school. So, Madam CS, you need to relook at this. I think there is a problem. Those are the areas that we expect to be considered as areas also.
Senator Nderitu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we know in this country, the smallest administrative unit is sublocation. So for this classification to be brought at county level, it does not capture well what's happening in our counties, Mr. Speaker. If you come to Laikipia, the area of Laikipia North, Mr. Speaker, we are getting drought, and many people are hardly having any food. So this classification, Mr. Speaker, is not correct. It's misleading the Republic of Kenya. So what we need is the smallest administrative unit in this republic, which is sublocation. That one will capture very well what's happening in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Hezana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Cabinet Secretary and her ministry for the cash transfers to Samburu County, despite our very marginalized condition compared to Kitui County. We appreciate it. But I would like to know if there are contingent measures to ensure long-term sustainable solutions. For example, provision of water and as an alternative means for livelihood, for pastoralists to venture into agriculture. Thank you.
Senator Kathuri.
Honorable Speaker, I'm trying to get that report through this machine, but I'm getting some challenges.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think if I was keen on what I said this ministry is doing in terms of providing the data, and the data is not solely produced by the ministry. It's a multi-sectoral affair. Partners like, for example, Red Cross and many other non-governmental institutions are partakers. The information that is informing whatever action we may have redirected to the relevant sectors is basically coming from the counties. Counties are found where we would as well say senators are coming from. So the information is a multi-sectoral approach. Many stakeholders are giving the information. And as an NDMA responsible within the State Department of Asal and Regional Development, our aim is to give the issues that would guide the many sectors, the many ministries, with what they need to do. So in terms of how we get the targets, there are levels, for example, on the cash transfer, issues like poverty level, among the indicators that would be used. On how we arrived at the 8, there were many parameters that if you'll give me time, I'll supply to the House the parameters of the first 8 counties that are benefiting from the cash transfers. And then thereafter, we were anticipating to add another 15 counties, County of Baringo, Kitui, Makueni, Meru, Narok, Taita Taveta, Lamu, Embu, West Pokot, Kwale, Kilifi, Nyeri, Tharaka-Nithi, and Laikipia. Within the very parameters that picked the 8, we were to expand it to this other one on the very variables that we were to look at in terms of who benefits. On how much an individual gets, within the cash transfer, individual gets 2,700 as a way of enhancing the family decision to make variance in terms of the choices of goods they would want to have and food they would want to have. Because I see most of the questions are revolving around the targets. And even, Mr. Speaker, even when we bring information here, these honorable members are allowed to help input on the matters that would guide the process positively. So even when we share and you feel like there are counties that need to be added for whatever reasons, actually that friendly interaction is very critical, that our offices are open. Senators are supposed to come and consult so that whatever information they need, what they want us to capture, we interact in that manner. Now let me touch some of the questions. Honourable members were a bit very fast, so I hope if I may not touch on the ones that is critical to a particular senator, then be free to ask. The reason why we share this information is to inform the many ministries, to inform the stakeholders, the many coordinating organs that are doing this across the country.
Honorable CS.
Yes.
So that we make progress, just capture a senator and their question and respond. That way we'll move, we'll flow with ease. Don't be so general.
I'm guided, Mr. Speaker. On food security, why I was reading, actually I wanted to be firm with the information that I'm sharing with the Honorable House. So the senator who felt like I was not doing favorable thing by reading, I was actually giving information as it is, so that now I don't talk of other things outside. The concern of issues on schools, issues on, actually, as I said, as other ministries on education and children, because they seem to have been part of the concerns here, or the targets, actually that fall under another ministry of education. There are issues on nutrition, on women, on children, the lactating mothers, that falls under the health, and the many other stakeholders around the health. So the relevant ministries will respond to that. Why we were doing cash transfer on a hunger safety net program, it was a flagship project. So we are pursuing it, and we are increasing counties from 8, we are adding more 15 to make it 23. On drought and mitigation measures, accountability, actually the responsible units, the responsible ministries, the responsible stakeholders that afford to benefit from the cash that they are meant to mitigate the effects of drought, of course, have the obligation of being accountable as them and as ministries. Just the same way, the control measures of government make sure every ministry is accountable for the resources they have. I want to appreciate Senator Mungatana for the remark you made when we visited your area. And this is part of the things many senators know. We visit their counties. Maybe this is good of you, and I appreciate as a ministry. And as I see as that remark, it keeps the workers that work under us supporting the citizens of the country positive, because I know they are watching. So on national policy remain a national policy. It is implemented as being guided by the various needs. We will all implement and will abide by the recommendations that are given by the control measures that are put through national auditing units and the budgetary allocation units. So, Ole Mheshimiwa Senator Ole Kina, on the long-term strategy on the Plenary in Wasongiro South. Actually, the reason why we had to pick that one, because the question was directing us on the drought mitigation measures we are doing as a ministry. Of course, there are other things we are doing, but this one was responding to the things that happened at the time of the drought that the ministry is carrying over there. So the response was basically on the drought. On the utility of early warning by the ministry, actually what happens once, as I said, once the information is found within the satellites that are located in counties and sub-counties, advising the weather condition and the drought situation in every county, actually the information is shared with the main stakeholders. We share with the ministries, we share with non-governmental institutions, we share with partners, we share with counties, and the sub-counties equally, to advise on the likelihood of what to project in their planning. So our aim is to produce the data and then share with the relevant institutions that need to utilize it. Mheshimiwa Senator Sergei, on the recommendations by the Auditor General. Matters that are raised by the Auditor General's office are always taken keenly by ministries, and I believe I do in my ministry, and the other ministries equally pick those recommendations seriously. And we have no, provision to not to follow, we abide. Issues on water harvest. The government of Kenya is doing a lot of plans. The President of the Republic of Kenya has already directed ministries to do big plans in terms of the mega dams. And some of these mega dams are falling within ASAL counties as a mechanisms of water harvesting. Because at one time we are in drought, In another moment, we are in floods. So downstream, harvesting this water will stabilize the water tables in the systems of boreholes, because the drought affects the recharge level of our boreholes. So this is one system of capturing waste that would go down stream without being utilized, so even reducing the effect of floods. When you have such a big flow of water, you are reducing the hazards or the havoc that come with it. So it is already within the bigger national agenda, within ministries, that we do the mega dams. On the tomato factory that is in Kajiado, under Wasongiro South. Actually, the constraints that we undergo sometimes as the implementers of the services of Kenyans is the constraints around the budgeting issues. Once you target a project and then you don't get adequate finance to facilitate, it makes sure that process slows a bit. But it does not mean it is not within the very best first intentions of getting it realized. I know the tomato factory is there. I had visited it myself, and we had worked a way of making sure it functions, especially at the time that the rains are there and people are getting back to the farms. The tomatoes they get must get a place where it can be put into a value addition mechanisms. So on Embu counties, the 14,000 people that are targeted, Mheshimiwa Senator, the information we share is founded on the short and the long range. So long as the population that is supposed to be captured fall within the categories of the variables that we look into, or the parameters that guide on who benefits, we are free to engage the counties as it's been, so that they give us adequate data that is supposed to guide who benefits. But let's begin from there. And the very people that gave the 14 number as an indicator, 14,000, as the most vulnerable, would still had more, should there be more vulnerable that may have gotten left out. On Elgeyo Marakwet, yes, I've been there, I've visited, I know the challenges of the area. Actually, as I said, I think Elgeyo Marakwet is one of the counties we are intending to look at in terms of increasing the number and the areas to target. So, Asante, Bwana Speaker, I'm done.
Okay. Thank you. Which was?
Mr. Speaker, I had asked, and I think the Cabinet Secretary was not able to capture my question, the strategy they used to zone the drought-prone areas, and I gave an example of Nyandarua North, the two wards that we have in Nyandarua that have suffered severe drought. In the data.
Thank you, Mr. Senator. The strategy for zoning, especially around Nyandarua North, the classification process is done by CalRO, and the data we consume is basically coming from them. CalRO.
Thank you. Are you done, Honorable CS?
Yes, I've answered the question the Senator had asked.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, I hope those responses have been helpful to you. Certainly they have not been helpful to me. But again, these are your questions. We have spent 1 hour on this question. Yes, Honorable Anna Kombo.
Give me the mic. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is not my business to read the mood of the House. That's your work. But, Mr. Speaker, clearly, these questions have not been properly responded to. Mr. Speaker, is it possible for you to direct that maybe the CS goes and prepares herself properly to come and respond to these questions? They're important questions. They recur. You know, it's just something that happens this year, next year it will happen, so that we have a proper conversation based on real data from the ministry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the answers by the CS is totally unsatisfying. Because I asked a question about whether the 2017 regulations on drought management fund has been enacted. The question should have been yes or no, or in progress. So can you direct us per standing order number 1, that the CS gives back these House comprehensive answers, because drought is a very serious matter. And Mr. Speaker, it's not an emergency. It is a recycle that normally happens every year. So can the CS go back and give us substantive and serious answers to the House?
Yes, Senator Kathuri.
Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with my colleagues that this data provided in this response, Mr. Speaker, does not meet the threshold of the drought-prone areas in this country. Mr. Speaker, when I check at the drought phase classification, the CS has classified Meru County as she's saying it still remains in the normal phase. Makueni, Nyeri, Embu, and Meru. Noting that, Honorable Speaker, Meru is 65% arid and semi-arid. And when you have that percentage of arid and semi-arid, it means still that when there is drought, that same proportionate of that county will be affected by drought, Mr. Speaker. So I am not very comfortable because the benefits that come with this data, it means also resources for this data, Mr. Speaker. So I think, Honorable CS, I'm happy that a CS, a lady CS from Turkana can find herself in the cabinet. But Mr. Speaker, with that honor that the Turkana county has been given, let the CS come back with clear data on drought. Yes, that's why I've really nimempongeza, because Turkana County, having a woman in the cabinet is a big plus, Mr. Speaker. So I want to thank the government also of President William Ruto for considering a lady from Turkana to sit in the cabinet. And Mr. Speaker, in that respect, I want her not to come to give us the Senate the correct data. Like now, Mr. Speaker, we are affected by serious drought. On Monday, I was in one of the villages trying to give them some rice so that the schools can survive. So, Mr. Speaker, with the correct data, our people will get the right support, our communities will be able to get the right support. Mr. Speaker, if she can go to Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, she can be able to get the right data for this country, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you. Now, Honorable CS, listening to the concerns raised by the Honorable Senators, clearly your responses to their questions remain unsatisfactory, and therefore the Senate will communicate a date when you will come back to this plenary for purposes of giving satisfactory responses to all the concerns that have been raised. For today, we will allow you to go back, but a date will be communicated to you when you will come. Hopefully, when you come next, you'll give us satisfactory responses to these questions. You are free to leave the chamber, Honorable CS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Chairman, honorable members, or Speaker, for that matter, the government remain fully committed to protecting lives and livelihood while strengthening long-term resilience to drought and climate shocks. We will continue to work closely with county government, development partners, humanitarian projects, or project agencies to ensure that the drought response remain timely, coordinated, and responsive to evolving conditions on the ground. I thank you, honorable senators, for your guidance. I'm obliged to take your guidance, Mr. Speaker, and thank you so much. May God bless Kenya, may God bless you.
Thank you, Honorable CS. You are now free to leave. Now we move to question number 0110 directed to the CS Blue Economy and Mining. That question is deferred. We will move to the 3 questions directed to the CS in charge of education. and I'm informed he is present. Clerk, kindly usher in the CS in charge of education.
Welcome CS to this session, to the Senate. But before you start giving responses, let me make the following communication. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge in the presence in the public gallery this morning, a visiting delegation from Mangina University College in Gatundu, Kiambu County. The delegation comprises 10 students and 1 staff who are visiting the Senate for an academic exposition. Honorable Senators, on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation and wish them a fruitful and enriching visit. Thank you. As our tradition, maybe the majority leader or the majority leader. And let us have the deputy minority leader. Students from Mangina University College in Gatundu, Kiambu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to join you and on behalf of my colleagues, welcome the students from Mangina in Gatundu to the Senate of the Republic of Kenya and tell them that they have made the right choice to visit the upper house, and especially at a time, Mr. Speaker, it's so timely that the CS in charge of education is appearing before the Senate to respond to issues on education. So it's going to be an interesting time for them to interact with the session and learn as much as they can through this session. The Speaker, with those remarks, I welcome them.
Very well. CS, we have 3 questions. One from Senator Wambua, question 006. And 2 from Senior Counsel, Senator Professor Tom Ojenda, 007, and question number 008. So let us start with a question from Senator for Nairobi County, Edwin Sifuna. That question will be asked by his colleague, Senator Wambua, from Kitui County. Proceed.
I thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. I'm asking this question on behalf of my colleague, Senator Edwin Sifuna. I guess it's now the right time, Mr. Speaker, to say, for this purpose, Mimi ni Sifuna. Mr. Speaker, why are junior secondary schools not autonomous and distinct from primary schools, despite JSS boards of management operating separate accounts for JSS functions? Question number 2, why are heads of primary schools who are neither trained nor legally mandated to supervise graduate JSS teachers being tasked with managing JSS alongside their primary school duties, despite concerns over management conflicts and calls for administrative independence. And question number 3, could the Cabinet Secretary also explain the career progression guidelines applicable to all teachers, including those serving in the junior secondary schools? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, proceed and then give the response.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, members, for the invitation to respond to these questions. And Mr. Speaker, I beg to respond to the 3 questions, or the 3 aspects of that question as follows. Mr. Speaker, the matter of the domicile of junior schools was considered by the Presidential Working Party on Education Reform. The Working Party engaged various stakeholders and sought their submissions. The stakeholders engaged include teachers' unions such as the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, the Kenya Union of Teachers, the Kenya Union of Special Needs Education, and members of the public in general. Mr. Speaker, 93% of the submissions received by the Working Party recommended that junior school be hosted in existing primary schools. Only 5% of the submissions recommended the hosting of junior schools in existing secondary schools, while 2% suggested new schools for junior school. Mr. Speaker, the Working Party analyzed the merits of hosting junior school in existing primary schools as opposed to secondary schools or having them as autonomous institutions. It was noted that junior school learners would experience psychosocial challenges in settling down and integrating with secondary school learners who are relatively older. Cost considerations were also a justification, since Standard 7 or Grade 7 and Standard 8 classrooms would be unoccupied. Thus, it was considered most cost-effective that constructing new classrooms would not be a prudent way of spending government money. The government sought to maximize the use of available classrooms and facilities in primary schools instead of building entirely new secondary school complexes across the country. Mr. Speaker, resources would only then be needed to construct specific additional spaces such as laboratories in existing primary schools. Mr. Speaker, domiciling junior schools in primary schools was also designed to facilitate a smooth and universal transition for all grade 6 learners to junior secondary education. This is because of student well-being and attendance, particularly for vulnerable and marginalized children. The report therefore recommended